at your jaw. Feel like you want disappear, but you can't. Cause the police are you not trust Mr. Law. Babylon will shut your face straw. What will you say if you're coming from dance on your head? You're a vice and boy, no move else you're dead. When you take a look, you see your home from far. It's a boy where you and him a war. Certain boy have to go play. Beg for them life and go down on them day. Certain boy have to go flee. Cause them know if I did them won't know have no mercy.
Them a murderer. Them a vampire.
Now everyone want to live till them old. Every man want a little basic control. Every ghetto youth want to play gangster role. But none of them know want to see the heart of an next man we call. To all the ghetto youths.
Inside of Reggae Global Radio, we are talking to a record executive, Maury Elias, and we're going to pick up where we left off with the story behind this one. We talk about behind the music.
There we go, exactly, behind the music. So, where were we? With Cuddy, right?
Yes, Cuddy Ranks and Murderer.
Right, and Dave, and for some reason they just couldn't get it together to work this song out. So Dave came back to me and said, listen, I don't think it's going to work out with Cuddy. And this was supposed to be Cuddy's bridge record. Okay, because he had the stopper, which we had a profile. Wake the Man, you know, we put out a version on a priority.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And this was going to establish him as like the reality rude boy, you know, don't mess with me DJ. Okay, but they could never get it together to get into the studio to finish the record. So Dave came to me and said, you know, listen, it's not going to work out with Cuddy. I could get you Bounty or Beanie. Okay, and obviously most people would have said Bounty is the one for that record.
Yeah,
you know, that's the natural fit.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just happened to be a big Beanie fan. You know, and I said I want to use Beanie. You know, which kind of...
Okay, so you made that decision
yes,
to use Beanie
the
Man.
Beanie Man. Dave gave me the choice, and the choice was obvious.
Yeah.
But, you know, when everyone says go right, I go left. You know, and gave it to Beanie instead. And as I say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
You know, and it was, you know, a classic record for that year. Was it 94 probably?
Yes, 94.
And, you know, a record that I kind of feel like a lot of my career in reggae music up to that point was kind of scooping up records.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, that would work in America. Hey, that would work in America.
Yeah.
Hey, let's license it. Let's, you know, whatever. But I think that's a record that I can honestly say probably wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for me. I mean, Dave executed the record brilliantly.
Yeah.
But I handed it to him and I said, here's all the parts put in together.
Yeah.
You know, and so I honestly feel that record would not have existed. You know, had I not said, all right, this is the concept. Here it is, go mix it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I'm proud of that one. And then after that, I worked at a place called Bud's Distribution. I don't know if you remember Bud's.
Yes, I do.
They were a vinyl-only
Yes.
label distributor.
Yes.
They brought me in to put together a reggae division. All right, they're basically a hip-hop vinyl
Yes.
distributor and label.
Right.
We did a lot of bootlegs, a lot of white labels, a lot of counterfeits. Okay, I even went back and repressed all my old sleeping bag records. Okay, you know, the 2 sleeping bag compilations. All right, and so I put together a reggae division. Just as, if you remember the late 90s, Jamaica was kind of stopping 12-inch pressings.
Yes.
And everything was 7-inch.
7-inch, right?
All right.
I remember when that
and
transition
12
happened.
inches were dying.
Yeah.
And I reached out to VP while I was at Bud's and said, listen, I'm doing a 12-inch reggae vinyl business, and I need you to start pressing back vinyl 12 inches again. And they were like, no, not so sure. You know, I could guarantee you, I'll give you 20 titles to start, okay? and you start pressing these up exclusively for me. Okay, we'll press up 500 or 1,000. We'll figure out each title. No returns, I guarantee you. I'll sell these. And so I couldn't keep up. They were flying out the door. Most of these were a lot of classics. Okay, you know, I was pressing up a lot of classics.
Yeah.
But you know, I said when I discovered a hot rhythm, I said I need these on 12-inch. And as I was doing that, you know, there was Zip Zimmer. Okay, you know, the rhythm, and you know, there was a Vegas, and there was a Beanie, of course.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I hear this thing by a record that I like by this kid named Sean Paul. And I'm like, oh, this is a cool track. I like this track. You know, it was Deport Them. Right.
Yeah.
Not Deport Them. It was Infiltrate. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this is kind of a cool track too. I never heard of this guy, but okay. And all of a sudden, I started like hearing, you know, back then it was like the beanie on the rhythm, the Vegas on the rhythm, the Red Rat, the Goofy. You know, you could go down, and now, oh, here's this other one by Sean Paul. I like this one too. And so, as I was selling this to hip hop stores and distributors around the world, I would say, all right, I got this new rhythm. The Beanie Man is hot. You should take 5 or, you know, 10, you know, and the Vegas is cool. Take 5 of those. And there's a cool Red Rat. You can take 5 of those. And listen, there's a new artist that I really feeling named Sean Paul. Okay. And take 2 or 3. But I never heard of Sean Paul. I never heard that song before. Okay. Trust me. And because of my reputation in the business, you know, with hip hop and reggae and dancehall rather, people, you know, trusted me and they take it. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they call back for a reorder and they go, okay, let me take 10 more of the Beanie, let me take 5 more of the Vegas. And you know what? You were right about the Sean Paul. I'm going to take 5 of those now. And I began to see how people were reacting to Sean Paul as I was selling vinyl to these hip hop accounts.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next time they come back and go, wow, that Sean Paul was hot, let me take 10, you know. And I just kind of was, you know, had my radar up, my feelers out, and I was going to, and I like the music, okay. You know, I wasn't just pushing it because I was pushing records. I was like, I heard the Sean Paul on these rhythms, and I thought there was something really special that spoke to me as a DJ who worked not as a pure reggae selector. You know, I worked in this middle ground.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always been the lane I was in. I was in this middle ground where I embraced reggae to the fullest, or dancehall to the fullest, or both to the fullest. But I had to play in clubs that, you know, didn't want to hear the deepest reggae cuts. Or the deepest dancehall cuts. So I guess kind of my ears were fine-tuned to what would work in America in this setting. Okay, and as I heard more and more of Sean Paul, I began to realize that this was something special. He was something special. His records were unique. And eventually, after the first year, I was doing $250,000 worth of 12-inch vinyl from VP.
Really?
Yes, in the first year, by the end of the first year. And they noticed. So they called me up and they said, you know, or after the second year, they called me up and said, you want to come work for us? And I said, I wasn't really jumping at the chance to work at BP. Okay. But I said, I'll work for you under one condition. You know, if we work out the money and we work out all the other stuff, I want to be Sean Paul's A&R. And they were like, huh? What? And I go, why? And I go, because he's going to make it. And mind you, this was 1998, 99. Okay. Sean Paul was in the back of the reggae bus. Okay, at VP. You could go through the list of who was hot at VP. Again, Beanie, even though he was already signed to Virgin. Beanie, Vegas, Red Rat, Goofy, Ward 21. I mean, the list goes on. Sizzler, Capleton. You get into those artists. Okay, why do you want to work with Sean Paul? We got all these other artists that you should want to work with. I go, because he's the one that's going to make it big in America. He's got what it takes. You know, and they said, well, it took a lot of back and forth. I said, you know, yes or no. You know, if you want me in, that's non-negotiable. They said, fine. Oh, you know who else was big back then? Lexus.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that's when I walked into VP Records, when I took the job. That's all people wanted to talk about in that building.
Was
Was
Lexus, yeah?
It was Lexus.
Oh.
Okay. And I was coming, and Lexus was hot in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Sean Paul was not. See, that was the thing about VP and Sean Paul and whatever. VP chased what was hot in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it was going to work in America or not. And sometimes it started to get it right, like with Zim Zimmer,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
You know, or, you know, with Heads High,
Yeah.
okay? But, you know, it wasn't necessarily like they saw the vision of Beanie Man or they saw the vision of Vegas. Those were just records that started to pop.
Yeah.
Here I am saying, no, I want to take the guy who you're least interested in, and he's going to be the one that's going to really make it.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're saying, no, it's all about Lexus now. And I'm saying, no, it's not. I said, Sean is going to. And I don't mean like in this, but you know, it's a competition.
Yeah.
You know, basically it's a competition.
It is.
Sean's going to crush Lexus. Okay.
Everyone's
Right. Everyone's competing with one another for that spot. And nobody believed me. You know, and you had to fight for every dollar. You know, fight for $1 for a video, fight for $1 for radio promotion, fight for $1 to bring them up to tour. You know, everything was fighting for $1 at VP. And you weren't just fighting for $1. If I got $1, that means Lexus didn't get $1. And if Lexus got $1, that means I didn't get $1.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the way VP worked.
Yeah.
Okay. And so everything was a fight, and as I say, the rest is history.
The rest is history. Now, so take us to the time now with Sean Paul. Let's continue on that thread. Where there was a deal with the VP Atlantic connection there?
No, that was a deal that I brokered. I brought Atlantic to the table, not VP. Okay, we were getting ready to sign with Virgin. Sean and Jeremy wanted to get on a major label and away from VP as bad as they could. They would have, you know, jumped off the Titanic to get off of, you know. Actually, that is a good metaphor. Okay. But basically, they were hungry to get off onto a major label. Okay. And the only major label that was interested initially was Virgin, who had Beanie Man.
Right.
Who, in my opinion, messed up Beanie Man's career. Okay, I think the Beanie Man Virgin project was a flop. Okay, because like all major labels, they wanted to. They said Beanie Man's a star, but dancehall's not.
Yes.
So they turn these artists
they
into
convert
hip-hop
them into hip-hop
R&B artists.
I think that's where a lot of those labels go wrong.
Right, that's what they did with Shaba.
Very few got it right.
Right, that's what they did with Shaba. That's what they did with Supercat. Okay, that's what they did with Varys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what they all do because they just don't get it. And that's what Virgin did with Beanie Man. They put him with the Neptunes.
Yeah, and the
okay,
Janet
Jackson
track,
song, which was just horrible, you know. And the video was even worse, but you know, it was Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, so everyone was like, ooh, but the music was horrible. All right. And I'm not saying this. Listen, Beanie Man, as I told you 2 minutes ago, is one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
I picked him to do the Murderer record.
Yeah.
So it's not Beanie Man's fault. It's the label's fault. Okay. It's the label that messed up, and I didn't want Sean to
fall prey to
that major label way of thinking about dancehall or reggae music. And I had been shopping. I've been talking to. I knew Craig for a long time. We used to DJ in the same clubs together in New York, like Danceteria. So we knew each other a long time. And Craig, to his credit, is probably one of the more evolved major label executives when it comes to Jamaican music. Okay, you know, and I'll give him that much. He knows reggae music more than most major label executives know it. Okay. But I had been shopping Sean to him for almost a year. Played him Give Me the Light when I first heard it. I said, this is going to be a big record. Played it for him again when it was on Hot 97. Power 96 here in Miami, and ZMX in Hartford, Connecticut. It was top 5 and number 1 on all 3 stations. We couldn't get it beyond those 3 stations. Give me the light. When I played for Craig again, he said, yeah, it's a good record. I hear it on the radio in New York all the time, but I need something really, mind you. What preceded Sean Paul? Forget about Beanie Man. What really preceded Sean Paul?
What preceded Sean Paul?
Shaggy.
Shaggy, yes.
Yeah, Shaggy.
Yes.
And so
that was coming out of the It Wasn't Me era.
Right, and Angel, and
Yeah.
sold 10 million copies to Shaggy's credit, and Sting International's credit. And it was a huge record.
Yeah.
And, it was a pop record.
Yeah.
Okay. And Atlantic, Craig, just wanted something that big. He said, I don't want, Murray, this record sounds big, but I need something Shaggy big.
Okay.
And I want to sell 10 million records.
Okay.
Then we got the video done. BET, the first week, New Joint of the Day. By Friday, it was number 6 on the countdown. In 1 week, it went from New Joint of the Day to number 6.
Yeah.
It was the fastest exploding video in BET history, they told us. They actually jammed the brakes on the video. They did. Because it could have gone all the way to number 1 in a week, they told us. Okay, and they didn't want it to burn out. So they jammed the brakes on it. But that's how exploded it was. They still didn't want to sign it. Craig still didn't want to sign it. That story at BET exploded the radio story. And now we had a national record. Okay. Urban and rhythmic, but not pop.
Yeah.
But top 10 urban and rhythmic radio. Still didn't want to sign it. He signed it when we got the ad on MTV with the video and the ad on Z100 with the record. It went pop.
Yeah.
And that's when we got the call to go to Atlantic.
Okay.
So when he came to me and said, Murray, am I too late? Because this took a year. He waited almost a year. So you're kind of late. He says, well, what do I need to do? I said, well, A, you need to commit that the record we deliver, the dance hall records we deliver, are the records that Atlantic puts out. You're not going to remix them. You're not going to add tracks. You're not going to bring in your own producers. Okay? We deliver dancehall, you put out dancehall.
Yes.
Okay. And he said, and we're down to the wire. He said, take it or leave it. Okay, done. Okay, second thing. I want a deal where Atlantic is committed to breaking Sean Paul first. And then on the heels of Sean Paul, you break dancehall in America. So you do a deal with VP Records. VP Records didn't even know about this. I'm having this conversation without VP.
Okay.
So after Sean breaks, we bring in whoever, we don't, at that point we didn't know who we were going to bring in. But it's a label deal.
Yeah.
Okay, and you committed to reggae and dancehall. Done. Okay, let's do that. Oh, and the third one, you committed to putting out I'm Still in Love with You as a single.
Okay.
Okay, which is a reggae record, not a dancehall record.
Right.
Okay, but we're going to break reggae on the heels of dancehall. Okay, and he said, done. Okay, and that was it. And then we brought VP in. They negotiated the millions of dollars, and that's how it happened.
And that's how it happened.
Right.
So here we are. Then we had that. I guess that would be the second wave of the
second major label interest in dancehall wave.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, right through the 2000s.
Right.
Took us to maybe the
2010.
Yeah.
About 2010 was when things started to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that brings us almost to the controversy.
Yes.
Okay, because that's the beginning of the controversy.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So the Sean Paul Atlantic, wave of major label interest, radio airplay, went on from right up at about 2009, 2010. Okay. In 2010, I feel Okay, and obviously that's why there's controversy. That dancehall started to change.
And I think anyone who pays attention can see that. Clearly.
Right. The beats started to change, and the direction of the DJs, the rappers, started to change.
Yes.
Okay. They wanted to basically mimic American rappers.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
in
what
their
was
flow.
happening. That's what
Right.
was happening.
And the beat
And the
became
beats
what
were
the trap,
drifting away from the
the
Jamaican
boom, boom,
roots.
boom, boom. You know, it started to become this, what they call trap
What they
dancehall.
call it trap, yeah.
Right, okay, trap dancehall. And oddly enough, listen, I've been playing dancehall in the club since the mid '80s, and I've always found dancehall records that made people dance. And when I was playing in hip hop clubs, and I would play hip hop sets, and even though I'd be playing hip hop party records when there were total hip hop party records, when I put on the dance hall set, that's when the place exploded.
Yeah.
And that's what every DJ does.
And I saw, and I kind of lived through that and saw
That era.
myself.
You were
Yeah.
part of that era, absolutely. So as hype as the party was, when the dance hall set came on, it got
Everybody
lit.
hit the dance floor.
And not only that, what I used to see is girls basically grabbing guys by the arm and dragging them onto the dance floor.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Because it was the girls that knew that was their moment to shine.
Yeah,
That was their moment to just do it. Okay, and what I think happened in around 2010 was sort of a perfect storm of everything going wrong in Jamaican dancehall. Okay, started back with Sean back in the 2006-7 era, 5, 6, 7 era. The other big reggae artist that got signed to Atlantic was Elephant Man. Okay. And Elephant Man was riding that train of like every week there was a new dance.
Yeah.
Pond the River,
Yes.
Parachute, this one, that one.
Signal the plane.
Signal the plane, right? Every week there was a new dance. But these dances kind of took Jamaican dancehall in a weird direction, because it was no longer girls dancing.
Yeah.
It was gangs of guys dancing, like basically b-boys.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamaican b-boys, where it was guys competing with guys.
Yeah.
On the dance floor to see who had the moves.
Yeah.
Okay, as opposed to what dancehall had traditionally been, with girls doing the butterfly or girls doing, you could go through the whole history of, but it was always focused on girls doing, basically twerking.
Yeah.
Rub-a-dub. One way or the other,
Yeah.
twerking was invented in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't called twerking.
Right.
But what became twerking, the line goes all the way back to Jamaican dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what made it special. That's what made people outside. That's what made it special in Jamaica, but it's also what made it special outside Jamaica. Okay, it's like I said, as a DJ, when I used to play it, I used to see what happened. All right, and listen, I love Elephant Man as an artist. Okay, and I love his music, but he was part of this change that happened. It was just part of the change of Jamaican dancing. And I think when that happened, that also, along with the change in the sound of the rhythms, and the change of the sound of the style of DJing, and what they were DJing about, it became very dark, and became very about scamming, about guns, about it was just one thing after another. Now listen. I work with Cuddy Ranks. You don't get it any more dark. But there was a magic to Cuddy, could say limb by limb, I'm going to cut you down, and the place would dance like crazy.
Because the music was danceable.
Right, because the beats were danceable, and he had melody.
Yeah.
And even though he was saying, I'm going to cut you down, that wasn't what was driving you. Okay?
Right.
You weren't focused on the negativity. he can make records that like were I'm gonna kill you records, gunman lyrics.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you dance to. Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing with Supercat.
Yes.
Same
yes,
thing
yes.
with Ninja Man.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
You can go through all the Rude Boy DJs
The
from
Bounties
that.
and-
Bounties, whatever. They made records, and but suddenly in 2010, around that time, the beats changed, the DJ style changed, the topics changed, the dancing changed. All right, and then the final nail in the coffin was that whole daggering phase. Okay, you know, where it wasn't about women anymore. You know, the women were just props on the dance floor
Yeah,
to dagger to.
Pretty much.
And I think all of that led to American hip hop DJs losing interest in dancehall, and it fell off.
Yeah.
You no longer heard it on the radio. You no longer heard it in the clubs. You no longer heard it on the mix shows. When you did hear it in the clubs or on the mix shows, it was the classics.
Right.
It was that's some classics.
Right.
And what was waiting in the wings when dancehall fell off? Reggaeton.
Reggaeton.
Right.
Yeah, which
Was
descended from that.
Which was basically descending from dancehall, and gave Americans. Listen, most Americans couldn't understand what most Jamaicans were saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But they probably had a better idea what Jamaicans were saying than what reggaeton artists were saying in Spanish.
Right.
Okay, because that's a whole other.
Because it's right. It's
All right.
close. It's closer
But
to.
nonetheless, that didn't stop reggaeton. All right, because it brought the party vibe.
Yeah.
Jamaica left the party vibe.
They
They
did.
just gave it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, went in a
And-
whole different direction.
And it was not about the party.
Mm-hmm.
It was not about the dance. It was not about good vibes and feeling good. It was negative. It was dark. It was undanceable beats. And here was reggaeton saying, "Here we are." And at that point, reggaeton had its first superstar, Daddy Yankee, Gasolina.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And a breakthrough record. So reggae gave up the spot. They didn't have to, but they did. Okay? And it wasn't that reggaeton stole it, you gave it to them.
Yeah.
You gave them the spot.
Pretty much.
And you know, once that happened, for the next 10 years, reggaeton ruled. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and dancehall got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, the global market just dried up for dancehall.
dancehall.
Yeah.
And radio dried up, and interest dried up, and mainstream interest was all about reggaeton.
Because even in the 2010s coming on down, when hip hop or R&B radio played dancehall, they played 90s dancehall,
Right.
2000s dancehall. In fact,
Classics.
Yeah, a friend of mine in the industry once said, you know, listen, there was dancehall made after 2010, you know.
But to most people, it doesn't sound like dance. To most people outside of the bubble in Jamaica, because I don't even think to most people in Jamaica, and here's the controversy, okay, current dancehall sounds like dancehall.
Yeah.
Okay, most people in Jamaica, you know, there's definitely a dancehall massive.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're locked into that current sound.
Right.
But a lot of Jamaica is not interested anymore.
It's true.
You know,
It's true.
You know, and I think what happened. Now we can fast forward to the actual controversy, because that's sort of the history that leads up to it.
Yeah.
Except add one thing before we get into it, and then about 6 years ago, this new style of music started to appear from Africa, or at least got on the world's radar.
Right.
Okay, called afrobeat.
Yes.
Okay. And much like reggaeton before it, it absorbed what people loved about dancehall.
Right.
Okay. The beat, the vibe, the melody. Okay.
And even if you don't understand the lyrics, it's danceable.
It's danceable, and it just makes you feel good.
Feel good
And
music.
that's why you go out to clubs. All right. You go out to clubs to feel good. You go out to clubs to get your drink on, to get your buzz on, to get your dance on, to find a guy, to find a girl, whatever you're looking for. You know, you go out to feel good, okay? And the current dance hall just doesn't make people feel that good. Now, run up to 2023, 24, we could talk about that in a minute with TJ and with Byron Messia, okay?
Yeah.
Where suddenly there's a couple of records making some noise again.
Yes.
Okay, out of Jamaica.
Yeah.
But for the previous 10 years prior to that, it was like the desert.
So it's dry.
It was dry. It was dry as the desert
Yeah.
for dancehall and for Jamaican music.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have Coffee, which was a bright spot.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a really bright spot, and as an artist, is a really bright spot coming
Right.
out of Jamaica.
Right.
All right, but not the impact of like a Bad Bunny, of Carol G.
Yeah.
Of these artists that are now. I mean, last year, what was the opening act of the Grammys? It was Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
You never see something like that, a Jamaican artist. Even Sean Paul,
Yeah.
when he was at
At his peak.
at his peak, they brought him on to do a duet with Sting.
Yeah.
And they did Roxanne, I think it was, together. Okay, but you never see a Jamaican dancehall artist open up the Grammys the way Bad Bunny did. Okay, and now you had what's her name, Tyler. Yeah, he had a set, and you're having Afrobeats awards on the Grammy ceremonies.
Yeah. Which that hasn't happened in reggae and dancehall yet.
Ever. Okay, so these are things that are making an impact, and I think a lot of what happens in Jamaica is, everybody plays the victim, and nobody ever accepts responsibility.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a big problem.
Or in Jamaica,
That's a big
in the reggae dancehall industry.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now, and the controversy that kind of erupted a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Okay. There was the World Music Views, which is a blog, website, whatever you want to call it, on social media. And they posted an article about a producer who I have a lot of respect for, Russian.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, he's made some real moves in this industry.
Definitely.
And he's one of the more accomplished producers that actually makes rhythms that make me feel connected to what dancehall really is.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
I mean, even though this controversy started around Russian, I have total respect for Russian. Okay, but he made some comments that I didn't agree with. All right, where he was talking about how he's coming back to Jamaica because we all know Russian kind of left Jamaican music behind and worked with the reggaeton industry and had a lot of success, and then brought Shensia to Interscope. Again, great move.
Yeah.
Okay. And he made a comment that he's coming back to Jamaica, and that he's been around the world, and Afrobeats is like the big thing, and is like now at the top of the spot that reggae, that dancehall used to have. Okay, and that if Jamaican dancehall artists and industry could get unified, they could grab the spot back from Afrobeats.
Yeah.
Okay, meaning that what was the word he used? Overtake.
Overtake. Yes, that's what he said.
Overtake. And you could only, if Usain Bolt is ahead of you in the race and you're in second place, you only could overtake the guy ahead of you.
Yeah.
You don't overtake the guy behind you.
Right.
Okay. So he's saying Afrobeats is here, dancehall is here.
Right.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But this is the concept of unity in the dance hall that just kind of it caught me on a Saturday morning. I was like, what is this nonsense? The whole concept of dance hall is anti-unity.
Yeah. Sadly, but
clashing
Yeah.
and beefs and making up beefs with people and and there's never been unity in the dance hall. It's always been a competition.
Yeah.
Okay. So the concept of unity in the dance hall just made me laugh. But what really made me laugh is the concept that unity in the dance hall would suddenly make dance hall overtake Afrobeats. That's the problem. It's not the music. It's the lack of unity. And so I made a comment this is laughable. A, there's never going to be unity in the dance hall. B, even if there was unity in the dance hall, it's not about unity. It's about the quality of the music being made in the dance hall in Jamaica today.
Right.
And I was also very clear to say I'm talking about dance hall, not reggae. As a person who listens to both, I listen to way more contemporary reggae today than I do contemporary dance hall.
Yeah,
Okay?
because it more closely resembles what you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also closely resembles what's good. Okay? All right? Let's just call it the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay? But, and then I said, and the Afrobeats artists are way better than the dancehall artists at making commercial records, at making records that cross over. I wasn't saying they were better artists,
Yeah.
like head to head.
Right.
I was saying they were better artists in the international arena of
Yes.
making records that can cross over.
Yeah.
They're making better songs, better production, better melodies. All right, anything that's going to add to like an international
appeal.
And it was a comment about an article about Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It was Martin Luther King weekend. The next Monday, I wake up and my social media feeds are like exploding.
Just going crazy.
And just going crazy. I'm going, what the hell's going on? And then I realized that they took my comment and they turned it into an article.
Into a headline.
Into a headline, all right? Because nobody reads the articles anyway, right?
Exactly.
And
And it's clear from some of the comments that they didn't read the article.
Right. And then the clown that runs World Music View decided to add reggae / dancehall, which I never said reggae.
Right, so he added to
The
what
reggae.
he said.
He added to the controversy. He lied. Okay, he just in order to create. Listen, what's the social
controversy.
media? It's all about controversy. Controversy.
That's
sells.
what sells.
Right, but as I hope I demonstrated tonight, and as you know me for as long as you have. All right, I know the difference between dancehall and reggae.
Yeah, of course,
okay?
absolutely.
You know, I know when I'm talking about dancehall, I'm talking about dancehall.
Mm-hmm.
But he inserted, so now you have artists joining into the controversy, like Taurus Riley, like Gramps Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
all right, or feel like I was attacking them. When, like I said, I listen to more reggae than I do dancehall.
Right.
Okay, I listen to more Taurus Riley. I listen to more, Morgan Heritage than I do contemporary dancehall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. But all of a sudden, this is blowing up, and for a lot of contemporary dancehall producers and labels and artists, came out as a personal attack.
Yeah.
How can you say they're better artists than we are? We created this. I said, no, what you guys are doing now is not what was created 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
Okay, you created this
What's happening
now, which is not happening.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just happening in your little internet bubble in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Where you get 1 million YouTube views, most of which are bought anyway. And I think these artists are so confused in Jamaica that when they have 1 million YouTube views, they think 1 million people watch their video one time each, okay? As opposed to like maybe 100,000 people watching your video 10 times,
yeah.
or maybe 10,000 people watching your video 100 times,
Yeah.
which is probably more like it, okay? When you get to real views. But a lot of these views, we all know the big scam in Jamaica, which is the land of scams, okay, is people buy the first 1 million YouTube views, okay? So I was just trying to make a comment on the current state of dancehall.
And I think it needs to be stated what is happening, because we have all seen and experienced the decline in the international sphere.
Right, absolutely. I think I said what a lot of people wanted to say, and either I was courageous enough or stupid enough to say it, okay, in public. Yeah, I say it out loud.
Right, right.
All right. But once I said it out loud, based on the comments I was reading, both on World Music View, on YouTube, I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with The Fix in Jamaica.
Right.
There's millions of comments on those posts. I would say, based on reading the comments, 75% of the people agree with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt.
and I've heard from people in this industry, and I don't want to call names, but builders of dancehall, okay, legendary people saying, yo man, you're brave. Yo man, you're really brave for saying that, and this is needed to be said for a long time. And I feel like, and then there's the other 25%, who are just angry.
Yeah.
Okay, you like feel attacked. Okay, got personal.
Yeah.
You know, took it personal and got personal.
Yeah.
You know, and I said nothing personal about anybody.
Right.
Okay, I just was talking about music, but a lot of people took it personally and then got personal about it. And then will remain nameless. That just feel like, they had to protect what was theirs. Okay, and are oblivious to what's really going on with reggae music in the commercial international marketplace.
Yeah.
And that brings us full speed to now.
Yeah.
We've had, for the first time in 10 years, 2 records that have finally started to make noise in the international market. All right, TJ and Byron Messina and Taliban's. Okay. And it's great that 2 records have broken through. But the point I was trying to make about both those records is, yes, they've broken through. And yes, there's a lot to be happy that finally some reggae records are making some noise. But they're not as big as everybody in Jamaica would think they are. Okay, compared to, say, Sean Paul, or compared to Shaggy, or compared to reggaeton, or compared to afrobeat. Okay, those afrobeats records are way bigger than TJ.
Yeah, just scratching the surface.
Right, they're just kind of finally making noise after a long drought.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we're happy that they finally broke through. And maybe this could be the beginning of something greater to come.
Yeah.
But compared to what's hot now in that same sphere, meaning Afrobeats and reggaeton, music from outside of America that kind of fills this void, those records aren't that big. They're not pop records, that's for sure. Neither one of those records are pop. Taliban was a way bigger record than TJ. Okay, I mean Taliban was twice as big but neither one of those records went pop, and neither one of them totally crushed it at urban or rhythmic radio.
Right.
They made great inroads, and they deserve credit and respect for that.
Yeah.
But compared to Water is probably the worst example, because that's like such a huge. Probably of all the Afrobeats records, that's probably the biggest one. Okay, but even compared to Burna Boy or Thames or anybody else, all right, they're just not as big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a fact.
And that's the point I was trying to make, is that yes, we finally got some activity going on, something that shows progress again, but it's not Afrobeats. It's not reggaeton.
Yeah. It's not on that. It's not making that kind of noise.
Right. It's not that big on radio. It's not that as big as these records are on social media. Okay. They're pretty small compared to those records. Okay. But they're pretty big compared to what reggae records have done in the past, or dancehall records have done in the last 10 years.
Decade, yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. And that's basically where everything you said, Maury, is factual.
Right.
And like you said, some people, for whatever reason, just got personal with it or took it personally and felt attacked. But the numbers speak for themselves.
Right. And you know what? I hate to say it. We all talk about the spirituality of music and that we're all in this for the music. But when you get on the label side of things, it's business.
It's business.
And it's numbers.
Yeah.
And it's a competition. And we could talk about having kumbaya moments and whatever, but it doesn't exist on the label side. You got to perform, you got to make your label money. They're giving you money, you got to make that money back. And based on the deals that some of these artists are getting, these records are not making that kind of money yet. Okay, the way these Burna Boy records are making.
Right.
Okay. So, it is a competition to a degree. Okay, I'm not saying that's all it is. Okay, but you're competing with other records on the label.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're competing with other records on other labels. Right. and you're also better make sure that the people who gave you money make the money back.
Yeah.
And make money on top of it.
Right.
And the point that I was trying to make is that right now there's a lot of artists like the Skillabang record, Wop Wop.
Wop Wop.
Okay, that was a major flop. Okay, you know, it got a lot of attention, but it was not a big record.
Right.
Okay, Shensia, we're still waiting for the first hit. And that's, you want to talk about a lot of money being pumped into an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. That's a big problem. And again, probably the reason she doesn't have a hit is she abandoned Russian, the guy who brought her to the dance. You know? You know, you don't, leave the guy who got you to the label behind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's another example of, I'm going to be a pop artist. I'm going to be an R&B artist. I'm not going to, I'm leaving my dancehall roots behind.
Yeah, and that, and I think anyone who's done their research and see what has worked in the international sphere would realize that you can't leave the roots behind in order to make it. You have to bring it with you.
Well, again, that's why Sean Paul worked.
Yeah.
Because as a team, Jeremy Harding as his manager, Sean as an artist, me as the A&R guy, made sure that we kept Atlantic's feet to the fire, and you're putting out dancehall. You know, you're not going to water this down the way every major label did. And to Craig's credit, although there were fights, okay, we had to make sure we kept their feet to the fire. They did.
Yeah.
And that's why Sean worked. Because every record he had that was a hit was an authentic Jamaican dancehall record. Give Me the Light. The Buzz Rhythm.
Yeah.
Right? The Diwali Rhythm. Get Busy.
Get Busy, yeah.
Like Glue. Bookshelf. Okay. Then came the Beyonce record, which was a Beyonce record, okay, but still, it was a dancehall beat. It was a dancehall beat.
Yeah.
Okay. Followed the dancehall guy girl formula.
Yeah.
I'm Still in Love with You, an authentic reggae record.
Yes.
Okay. Followed by We Be Burning, an authentic dancehall record.
Yes.
Followed by Temperature, and another authentic dancehall record. Followed by Give It Up to Me. So that's 8 top 10 records in a row that were all authentic Jamaican records.
Definitely.
Okay. And that's why Sean, listen, that's not the only reason Sean worked, because of his incredible talent.
Yes. Because
he's a great songwriter. He has a unique voice. Okay, the only person that sounds like him is Supercat. I'll go see here, he sounds like Supercat.
Right.
But besides those two, that's a unique voice. And he just got what he, and also he was a video star.
Yeah.
Okay, more than any Jamaican artist before him.
Prior to, yeah.
He was tailor-made for video.
Yeah.
And we were blessed with Little X and Tanisha Scott. Okay, and Tanisha, the choreographer, X, the director, made those videos into something special.
Yeah.
But all those other factors are important, but the fact that we kept it dancehall.
Yeah.
And if you look at the history of Jamaican artists in America, every one of them got watered down.
Yeah. Yeah, so to wrap up now, we've got a few minutes left. What do you think is the proper direction for dancehall at this time to take to get back to where, at least where it was in the 2000s?
Well, didn't Russian just lick over his old rhythm? Right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the hot rhythm today.
Yeah.
And what was the original rhythm that called?
It's
Dirty Money. Was that the new one?
Yeah, Dirty Money is the
new one.
Yeah.
Dirty Money is the new one, and it was based on an old rhythm from 2009.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the hot rhythm now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one step in the right direction. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But Jamaicans decided to break it in 2010. All right. If somehow they could go back to pre-2010 vibes, vibes of the artists, vibes of the rhythm, vibes of the producers, because that's all Afrobeats is. it's got the vibe of old classic dancehall, of 90s and 2000s dancehall.
It does.
And same thing with reggaeton, is dambao. It's got the vibe of 90s dancehall. And it's working, but the current crop of young Jamaican artists and producers feel like this is their time to make their own style of dancehall. And if you want to just be happy in Jamaica, you know, making the Jamaican young dancehall massive happy, and that's your goal, then fine. But if you want to reach beyond Jamaica, then go back to what sounds like dancehall to everybody in the world outside of Jamaica, which is why afrobeats and reggaeton are huge, and dancehall has become somewhat insignificant in the global market.
Because 90s and 2000 dancehall are staples now on R&B and hip hop radio.
Absolutely, mix show radio,
but not clubs, the current crop of dancehall.
Right. I mean, you hear the two songs we just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't hear a deep set.
Yeah.
And also, when I go out to clubs in New York, okay, down reggae clubs in New York, they play current dancehall. Okay, and the hits are the hits, but most of the time the dance floor is kind of, They play soca to hype up the dance floor.
Yeah, that would get people dancing.
Yeah, soca gets people dancing. Soca's hot in dance hall clubs because that's what makes people dance.
Yeah.
And the classics make people dance. You put on any classic, the dance floor is lit. You put on soca, the dance hall is lit. Okay. You put on Afrobeats, the dance hall is lit. You go too deep in the contemporary dance hall direction, and you feel the dance floor just kind of
because the dance is not the dance is missing from the dance,
right?
And the beats aren't really danceable, and that's one of the issues with contemporary dance.
Right. Bring the dance to the dance, and bring the party to the party, and you win.
There you go.
You know,
in a nutshell, that's it. And with that, we gotta wrap things up. Pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
Good conversation and very enlightening.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we're going to be sharing
maybe we'll change the Jamaican music with just this one conversation.
Maybe. Hopefully we have that kind of impact.
Right? We'll see.
Maury Elias has been our guest. And remember, I'm here every Monday and Wednesday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you live from the studios of Reggae Global Radio. And Homegrown with G. Cole is next on Reggae Global Radio. I'm going to leave you with this classic that was produced by the man to my right, Maury Elias. Sean Paul and Sasha, I'm still in love. This is how we roll out, Maury.
Okay, let's go.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
So girl, can't you understand that a man is just a man? That's the dirty, dirty love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
The blessed loving from the start, but you know we're at the part. That's the way I give my love.
I'm still in love. Yes, I'm still in love.
Yo, what a man gotta do, what a man gotta do, girl. Hey, I do me give her tug love and say bye, bye, bye. But turn around, she asks a question, why? When me leave in me see the girl, I cry. And it hurts my heart to tell a lie. So don't cry no more, baby girl, for sure. Just remember the good times we had before.
I love you, baby.
I know you get the little loving and me
You
gone.
don't know how to love me.
I no time for no kiss up, no
Not
charm.
even how to kiss me.
I do me take your little advice
I
down.
don't know why.
Hey baby girl,
I love you, baby.
I love so dirty love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
Well, I'm a hustler and a player, and you know I'm not to stay. That's the dirty love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
So girl, don't you understand that a man is just a man? That's the way I give my love.
I'm still in love with you, boy.
The blessed lover from the start, but you know we're at the part. That's the dirty love.
I'm still in love. Yes, I'm still in love with
What a
you.
man
Reggae bring back love in the hearts of the people.
Reggae, the heartbeat of a people.